We are a nation of believers, a beautiful country steeped in rich tradition and colorful culture. Come and explore our diverse and breathtaking landscapes, cascading waterfalls, and exciting cities. Discover, learn, and enjoy our amazing heritage. Delight your palate with our delicious range of foods. Relax and be entertained by the biggest and best of music, arts, and films in Africa. We are beautiful. We are amazing. We are Africa's hidden gem, the heartbeat of Africa. We are Nigeria. Tour Nigeria and see tomorrow.
And never get this kind of thing, or I hear.
The judicial process of dispute resolution from the lowest to the highest level of judiciary, the Supreme Court eventually came up with a landmark ruling on the powers of governors to dissolve elected local government administration in Nigeria. Oyo and Katsina State's governors were on the wrong side of the judgment. The Supreme Court ruled that Governor Seyi Makinde acted invidiously and in contemptuous disregard of a High Court judgment when he dissolved the democratically elected chairman and councillors and appointed caretakers in their state. It therefore ordered the Oyo State government to pay each of the sacked chairmen and councillors their accrued salaries and allowances. This is our focus today on Panorama, reaching you from the Network Center, Ibadan Network Center of the NTA, and our guest is a former House of Representatives member, Saheed Akinade Fijabi. I am Kemi Yoshi. Thanks for joining us. Muslim faithful across Nigeria yesterday joined their counterparts the world over in observing the Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of a month-long Ramadan. President Muhammadu Buhari, who worshipped at his official residence in Abuja, called for understanding, support, and cooperation from Nigerians as law enforcement agencies intensify efforts at securing the country more effectively. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
Another moment of thanksgiving to Allah as the journey of faith, sacrifice, obedience, and spiritual reawakening lasting 30 days comes to an end. But in line with the dictates of the COVID-19 safety protocols, major Eid grounds were avoided as worshipping is restricted to the neighborhood and indeed family units. And in demonstration of leadership by example, President Muhammadu Buhari worshipped at the forecourt of the seat of government alongside the First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari and the immediate family members. Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Speaker Femi Bajabiamila, few ministers and service chiefs were also in attendance. The chief imam of the State House Masjid, Sheikh Abdul Wahid Suleiman, who led the 2 Rak'at prayers, thanked Allah for his guidance, protection, and mercies during the blessed month and prayed fervently for an end to the various challenges bedeviling the country. Muslims, he however said, must genuinely repent from sinful acts and ensure that great virtues and values of peace, love, forgiveness, tolerance, and charity imbibed during the holy month are never discarded. Special prayers were also offered for national unity, stability, as well as sustainable growth and development of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who spoke to NTA News shortly after, reassured Nigerians that the government is committed to restoring peace, law and order across Nigeria.
Within the last few weeks, we had about 7 hours meeting I think the National Security Advisor had gone public to what he could go public with and explain. We understand the problem. We are going by the Constitution. We are doing our best with the resources available and the manpower available to us. We are working very hard, and I think the National Assembly is cooperating very well.
So what do you expect from Nigerians? What do you want from them now?
I expect Nigerians to be more understanding and try to understand the issues involved within the time limit and the resources available to the country. Our biggest surprise and disappointment is what is happening in the Northwest, and we are going to deal with it so that people can go back to the land. This is very important so that we can get enough food for the country and even export.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who also spoke to newsmen, harped on the need for Nigerians to bury their differences and make concerted efforts towards achieving unity and stability.
The president is reaching out to all the stakeholders, and I believe that as leaders, particularly those of us that are elected at all levels of government, we should avoid partisanship, we should avoid regionalism. We are all leaders and we are in this together. The solutions must come from us regardless of federal level or at the state level or even at the local government level.
Truth be told, we all have equal shares in the blame in whatever challenges we have. We must all come together to make sure that we resolve whatever issues. It is that spirit of oneness and that spirit of togetherness and unity and love that will take us through this.
In the meantime, the presidency has announced that President Muhammadu Buhari will not be receiving guests on Salah homage as he planned a modest celebration. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And here in Ibadan, Muslim faithful have been urged to sustain the ideals of Ramadan with emphasis on prayers for peaceful coexistence in the country. Larry Bilay has the reports.
Some Muslims converged on government's house praying grounds for the mandatory 2 rakat prayer, signaling the end of Ramadan. Islamic clerics, however, emphasized the need for the sustenance of every good deed by Muslims as practiced during Ramadan.
The true person who fasts month of Ramadan is he who attained the fear of Almighty Allah after this completion. And fear of Almighty Allah is total abstinence to all what He prohibited.
For you to be able to get used to doing all these good things, prayerful, obedience to Allah's don'ts and do's, and to be able to continue after Ramadan.
To show love into your partner like you like yourself.
Special prayers were offered for the nation to overcome our challenges, especially in the area of insecurity. From Ibadan, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
And still on Eid al-Fitr, as Muslims converge on various Eid praying grounds to observe this year's Eid al-Fitr, clerics have emphasized on the need for virtues of perseverance, tolerance, good neighborliness, and intensified prayers. Kayode Oladoshu brings us a compilation of Eid prayers from Imeko-Afon, Ile-Ife, and Oyo Town.
It was a memorable outing for Muslim Ummah as they converged on various Eid grounds across the country to celebrate the end of the holy month Ramadan. Tope Alabi from Imeko reports that Muslims observed the 2 rakat prayer at the Akwata Eid ground, where the chief imam of Imeko-Afon, Abdul Majid Abdul Karim, enjoined the congregation not to return to any sinful acts which was forbidden during the fasting period. Adejoke Eluyemi from Ile-Ife reports that Muslim faithful were called to sustain all the lessons during the Ramadan. This was the message by the chief imam of Ile-Ife, Abdul Hamid Abdul Semiu, with a note that this is the right time to move closer to God and be fervent in prayers for the country. Similarly, the chief imam of Oyo, Sheikh Abdul Ganiu Ajokedero, admonished the Ummah to live their life based on the injunction of Almighty Allah. Juliana Oladejo reports that the message came to the fore at Agunpopo Central Eid Praying Ground for the celebration of this year's Eid al-Fitr prayer. in Ibadan. Kayode Oladoshu, NTA News.
And Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari has emphasized the need for parents to put in all efforts towards guiding and protecting their children against all kinds of abuse and other social vices to complement government's efforts towards providing safe and secured environments. The First Lady stated these in an interview shortly after completion of Eid al-Fitr prayers at the State House, Abuja. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by her family members and other Nigerian women, joined the President and other Muslim worshippers for the congregation of Eid al-Fitr prayer at the State House as part of the celebration marking the end of this year's Ramadan fast. Mrs. Buhari used the occasion to call on Muslim Ummah, especially the women folk, to uphold the lessons learned during the Ramadan fast and use it as their daily affairs for proper upbringing of their children. While congratulating the Muslim Ummah for the peaceful completion of Ramadan fast,
Alhamdulillah, we thank the Almighty Allah for witnessing the end of Ramadan. I wish all Nigerian Muslims happy Eid al-Fitr. I would also like to convey my message to Nigerian women, strongly appealing to them to take responsibility of their children by guiding and protecting them against abuse and other social vices. They must watch movements within their neighborhoods and report suspected dealings.
On the occasion of this year's Eid, after much fasting and prayer nationwide by our Muslim brothers and sisters, we look forward to God's mercy and grace on our nation and upon our people. At this time of great challenges in the nation, the fears and pain, the loss of lives and property may discourage us as well as break our hearts. But we must keep our focus on the great promises of God for our nation. Peace, prosperity, and greatness of our nation.
Enough of this banditry. Government alone cannot do it. We're appealing that all well-meaning Nigerians should speak out and expose all the evil ones within the society.
We should all join hands. We should be prayerful so that all these criminal acts of banditry, kidnapping, all the social vices that are associated with our children, they should all shun it.
the First Lady emphasized the need for Muslims to remain steadfast in prayer for peace, unity, and development of the country. From the State House, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
We'll now pause for a break. Panorama continues shortly. Stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Thanks for being there. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has formally reacted to calls for restructuring of Nigeria, describing it as counterproductive and inimical to the national unity, stability, and sustainable future. Senator Lawan spoke to State House correspondent after joining President Buhari to observe Eid al-Fitr prayers at the presidential villa.
I believe that as leaders, those of us who are elected must not be at the forefront of calling for this kind of thing. Because even if you are a governor, you are supposed to be working hard in your state to ensure that this restructuring you are calling at the federal level, you have done it in your state as well. Because what you may accuse the federal government of whatever it is, you may also be accused of the same thing in your state. So we are supposed to ensure that we have a complete and total way of ensuring that our systems at the federal, at the states, and even local governments work for the people, that we allow people to participate in governance, that whoever feels that he has something to offer to make Nigeria better does so freely without any let or hindrance.
The President also made a case for Nigerians to support efforts at guaranteeing the desired autonomy for local governments in the country.
Issues to the absence of local government system, functional local government system. For me, I think the time has come for us to take up the challenge, the gauntlet, to ensure that the local government system functions. This is in keeping with looking for ways, for means, for solutions to the security challenges that we face. We must never neglect the local government system. I believe that this is one system that had worked, even though in a different name. When it was Native Authority, it was very effective, very efficient. So we must go back to our local government system to ensure that the local governments continue to be autonomous, continue to be functional in order to complement whatever the states and the federal governments will be doing.
Meanwhile, the recent judgments by the Supreme Court over the dissolution of elected local government chairmen in Oyo and Katsina states have continued to generate reactions from various quarters. Kayode Oladoshu in this report takes a look at the impact of the judgments over the local government administration in Nigeria.
Being the third tier of government in Nigeria, local government has been saddled with the responsibility for the provision of basic amenities to the people at the grassroots. However, the administration of local government has been facing various challenges. One of such is the arbitrary sack of elected local government chairmen by state governors. The recent judgment by the Supreme Court over the 2015 dissolution of democratically elected chairmen in Katsina State by Governor Aminu Masari and that of 2019 in Oyo State by Governor Seyi Makinde were declared as a breach of Section 7, Subsection 1 of 1999 Constitution as amended. This pronouncement was described as a landmark victory for local government administration in Nigeria.
We are delighted. We are grateful to the Supreme Court judges. They have deepened democracy more. I think with this now, the state governors all over the country will start being cautious of what they do, how they treat local government.
I commend the gallantry of our chairmen and councillors for their doggedness and the steadfastness and the principles that we stand on the matter. They started from the local and went to the extent of the apex court of the land, and what they've achieved now, they achieved a lot for themselves, and they have achieved something great for our democracy. Democracy as an institution at the grassroots level.
Coming up on the heels of this judgment is the big question: will it drive home the agitation for local government autonomy across the country?
What we need is the certainty, the guarantee that governors will not go against the pronouncement of the Supreme Court by removing elected chairmen and councillors. Because until we get to that point, the autonomy of local government is not guaranteed. And unless there's guarantee of the autonomy of local government, it means those functions expected of the local government councils will remain unperformed.
Experts are now of the opinion that if governors can work within the constitutional rights on the administration of local government, these will limit various litigations and fast-track development at the grassroots level. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladoshu, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio to discuss further on this issue is a former member, House of Representatives, Saheed Akinade Fijabi. You're welcome to Panorama.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Okay, what would you say is your reaction to the Supreme Court's judgments?
I think it's a judgment for the common man of Nigeria, which everybody have been longing for to happen in Nigeria. And it's a very good one. It's a good one in a good direction. And we can still say a common man can run to one arm of government and still be welcomed. And the judgment is a very good one for the nation.
Okay, looking at this trend over the years, what would you say is the driving force for governors who have been taking laws into their hands in this area?
Most of the governors, because of the autonomy, because of the way they run the nation, it has been a norm and practice in the nation for some time now. But since the other arm of government, which is judiciary, have been trying to correct it, I think most of the governors now will not be rushing into judgment making. And even though you can see the autonomy for the local government is quite very, very important. And again, if the INEC, if we can amend the constitution by saying INEC should conduct the election from federal, state, and local government. So it will be very difficult for any governor to be coming and say, okay, you should leave or vacate your position. It's a very good one, a judgment.
I think over the years, the trend has been like that because it seems once a particular party takes the governorship level, it's also a sweeping victory at the local government elections.
But we can see now that the last judgment cross across the both parties.
Okay.
Katsina is an APC government. Oyo State is a PDP government. So nobody will now say that maybe the judiciary is taking side. So it's just taking side of the common man, which is a very good one. And what I would just employ every other governor in Nigeria is they should not rush in making some decisions. They should just wait and see. It's a governor, it's a government you have to run for the next 4 years. Why rushing? Why wouldn't you say? And for a very common man to move closer to the government, the only way you can do it is through local government of the land. So you need to make it autonomous.
So how would you say this particular judgment is going to influence the autonomy or otherwise at the only way level?
The only way that the local government can be autonomous is just through constitution amendments, which I could remember vividly in the 7th and the 8th Assembly, which I'm part of. We amended it, but the states who needs this more were the one rejecting it. But I believe now that in the near future, maybe the next constitution amendment, this will come to pass.
Okay, going back to the Supreme Court judgment, governors, Sheyi Makinde, for example, has been directed to pay all accrued salaries and benefits to the local government. What is the implication of this?
The implication is now that you have to spend more of our taxpayers' money, which we don't even have for now. But the Supreme Court has spoken. There's nothing anybody can do more than just for him to look for the money and pay. It just serves as a lesson, and it's more of like a deterrent to a lot of us being in power.
And what will be your parting word on this issue of local government administration as a whole in Nigeria?
I would just employ the state assemblies that whenever the National Assembly passes this amend the constitution of local government having autonomy, they should please support it.
Thank you very much. I have been speaking with a former member, House of Representatives, Saheed Akinade Fijabi. Thanks once more for being a part of Panorama, and happy Eid al-Fitr celebration. Let's now join our sports desk for sports updates with Kene Emma Agudike.
We begin with athletics, where national 400 meters champion Imobong Nseuko combined with Patience Okun, Sikiru Adeyemi and Samson Nathaniel to help Team Nigeria finish first at the mixed 4x400 meters relay event at the PVA MU Invitational in Texas, United States of America. The quartet set the country's national team record and Africa's second fastest finish in 3.18.53 seconds. In the meantime, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sanda Dari has pledged the commitment of the ministry towards ensuring the growth of budding talents in the country. Dari made a pledge in Abuja when he received 8-year-old chess champion Elena Olajide.
We will, on our part, place her on our talent hunt program, and then we have a template for it, the kind of support we'll give. If she's going for a championship, we'll get to know, we'll support her. If she needs kits, if she needs, there's just a plan for that.
In football, the UEFA Champions League final between Chelsea and Manchester City, come May 29, will now take place at the Estadio do Dragão, Portugal, with 6,000 fans from each club able to attend. The UEFA Referees Committee has equally announced 44-year-old Spaniard Antonio Mateo Yajos as centre referee for the much-anticipated match. With sports update, Kenan Ima Aburike, NTA News.
That's Beatle Sports brought us to the end of Panorama today. Remember, be a star. Connect with the Nigerian Television Authority. Stand against rape and rapists.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Kwatankwashi is an ancient town located on the eastern part of Bungudu local government area, about 12 kilometers from Gusau, the capital city of Zamfara State, Nigeria. The town is known as the town of rocks, walls, and eagles. It is home to the famous Kwatankwashi Rock, which is about 350 meters above sea level and has a massive landmass of about 1 square mile. Kwatankwashi Rock is a magnificent granitic rock formation with surrounding beautiful scenery that offers a natural ambience for relaxation and adventures. It is one of the most exotic rock formations in Nigeria with breathtaking shape and size. Historically, legend has it that some powerful spirits lived in the rock, thereby forcing hunters to settle around the foot of the rock. That was how Kwatankwashi town came to be. Settlers in the past used the rock for worship and performance of a ceremony called Dauka Maike, known as catching of the eagles, which used to live in the caves, and catching them was the main feature of Dauka Maike. A major feature of this magnificent formation are the caves where the locals used to hide during difficult battles. The biggest of these caves can hide 1,000 people. Another unique attraction of the rock is a natural spring that never runs dry all year round, providing cool, refreshing water for locals and tourists. The spring has a blend of everything: nature, history, and magic. If you desire an ideal place for excursion, hiking, picnics, sightseeing, and bird watching, visit Kwatankwashi Rock for an experience of a lifetime.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Sheer adventurism is driving me to go deep into the Onyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine in the whole of South. Well, the coronation of the new Oni is a watershed in the history of the Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now, that will... Simply put, Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. If something differently would be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth will be employed. Many people that attend the church here can tell you, service in Holy Rosa is in Guinea. We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Getso. Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital city, can be a puzzle, but it is the story I would like to tell. It is fascinating that it is evolving in the full light of history, but then there are some significant aspects of it that are bases in mystery. The world never gets to hear them. Whoever could have guessed, for instance, that Abuja was foretold centuries before its spirit could touch the earth. I do not trust my writing skills. I could have come up with a bestseller on Abuja. What inspires me is passion. The territory which is now occupied by Abuja as a symbol of the Federal Capital Territory is a territory that was occupied at one point by different cultural and social systems. Those social systems may still exist. But then obviously the interplay of the new and the old has bring a lot of dislocations, and some heritages were lost. It is apt to say here that some heritages were at the crossroads too. There is an interesting story told by the Emir of Jua, Idris Musha, and it has relevance with the lost heritages faced by local communities following the life emerging in the FCT.
I was working in Suleja Government as a health officer called Duvagari. So before Federal Capital Territory, most of these villages under Abuja, I knew them. And I'd go around with them as inspectors, health inspector. Being new development, because after working 15 years with Suleja local government, 1991, I transferred my service to Federal Capital Territory, where I belong, where my village falls. But still yet, my relations are still in Suleja. We are predominant farmers. Let me give you an example. From here to Garki, you can trek from here to Garki where sun will not touch you because it was a typical forest. Typical forest to Garki. If you don't want sun to touch you, it will not touch you. You get everything inside. By that time, by February, rain used to fall. We plant here twice. By then.
The story is far from told, and I'm actually inspired by an event. Early February, there was an anniversary to mark 45 years since the decree on the federal capital city was promulgated. In Abuja, the anniversary was marked with a book launch that looks at the evolution and development of the federal capital territory over the years. Scholars, administrators, and journalists were brought together to give a thought on the emerging capital city. They come with various interesting conclusions, which include the need for more literature on Abuja.
I think there is urgent need to create more cities and towns in all the 6 geopolitical zones with the same character or model like Abuja, but not, of course, the size or population, to fast track national unity and integration.
Abuja, as it is today, is a fulfillment of long-held dream of a new federal capital city that will satisfy requirements of nation building and peaceful coexistence.
Abuja came about the fact that Lagos then was the headquarters of this country, this great country, Nigeria, and because of the conjunction in Lagos, the government of General Murtala Muhammad of the Blessed Memory decided that Abuja should, the federal capital territory should be shifted to a place that is considered to be a bit central, a bit neutral, a bit accommodating, that is not habited by these major Nigerian tribes of Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. And after scouting around, initially they decided somewhere around Kafancha area, but they found out that it was not as central as this part of the federal capital territory. So later they decided to site it in the present place now called Abuja, the federal capital territory.
Where Abuja is built was a settlement of indigenous communities that have inhabited the area for thousands of years. The original plan was for Abuja to have communities moved. Somehow, the plan could not go through, and the communities were spared.
The plan was that everybody that they met in Abuja ought to have been relocated to the respective state that contributed. Niger, like we know, contributed the largest chunk of land, followed by Kogi and then Plateau, which was why we have the new Wuse now, new Kari and new Nyanya. But there's still the problem we have now that has led to the serious problem. You might mention that later, of resettling the original inhabitants, is the fact that when some volunteer to go to these states, which will now have a new, say, in the case of Niger and New Nyanka in Plateau, then Nasarawa state, the then president, General Olusegun Obasanjo, said the cost of resettling them was so much that the resettlement policy should stop until when development gets to their doorstep, then they will not be resettled.
There was a storyline that Abuja was foretold. It was a long-held prophecy known to court historians, especially in the then Abuja. It speaks of a mystic who foresaw Abuja in the image and likeness of what it is today, and that is over a century ago.
There was an account like that of somebody who said there will be a time that this name Abuja is going to be a name that it will become a household name, even beyond Nigeria, all over the world. The name is going to be known. But as at that time, nobody thought the federal capital of Nigeria was going to be relocated to Abuja. People used to just wish away all these kind of predictions that happen. But today, the prediction of that particular individual has come to pass. Abuja is a household name. If you mention 1, 2, 3 capitals in Africa, Abuja, the capital of Nigeria.
The identity of that guy, do you have his name or his identity or his years or other things like that, or is remote in history?
It's remote in history, nothing specific. It was just an account that we just saw in the book.
We can at least take home from this account that Abuja from earliest times is marked for a future that is great. The name Abuja has come forward to different interpretations. One version traces it to migration south of the last happy ruler of Zazzau, Mohammed Makau, when the area fell to Fulani invaders. He settled in Duba together with two brothers, Abuja and Kwakwa. Abuja succeeded Makau in Zuba in 1825. He was the person credited to the founding of the kingdom of Abuja. His full name is Abubakar. Some accounts say his fair complexion earned him the nickname Ja. Some say it is a short form of his father's name, Isha Kujato.
As you know, Abuja used to be a name of a town in Niger State, presently called Suleja, and they were the people that gave out the name of Abuja to the federal government, and they changed their name from Abuja to Suleja to allow the federal government to use the nomenclature of Abuja as a title for the federal capital territory as headquarters of this country.
So the federal government sought for it, or the people of Suleja gave it?
No. The federal government sought for it from Suleja people. And Suleja people ceded it. Then the greater percentage of the federal capital territory comes from Niger State, which is under Suleja Emirate. We have Bari, Kuji, Gwagwalada, Kwali, all these areas are under Suleja, under Suleja Emirate. And it was based on that they found out that they should use the name of, so they decided to seek for the usage of the name of Abuja from the Suleja people. And the then emir of Suleja, Suleiman Barrow, ceded the name to them, and they now changed the name from, they removed the last letter of Abuja, then they used the first four letters of the then emir of Suleja, Suleiman Barrow, so they now call it Suleja. That is how the present day Suleja came to be.
A word on Suleiman Barrow, the emir of Abuja, who ceded the name Abuja to the federal capital city, and his city took after his name. When I went to Jua, I was taken to the house he used to stay when he comes visiting, and he visited Jua regularly. I like the architecture of the house, which is untampered with. In Jua, there's a guest house of Suleiman Barrow, that means the emir of Suleja at that time, who ruled between 1944 to 1979. During that time, whenever he is coming out for what you call Kilisa or other like that, he comes to Jua and rest. This is his guest house, still in its natural state. Nothing has been touched, nothing has been tampered with. When eventually Abuja was created, and the name Abuja is assumed on the new federal capital territory, and Suleja formally relinquished its name of Abuja, it is now made Suleja to reflect the name of this emir who used to stay here now. So the place now become Suleja, Suleimanja. That means the emir of Suleja that ruled between 1944 and 1979. This is his guest house in Jua.
Well, after his demise, some minor renovations were carried, and the staff of our secondary schools are now accommodated in this place. It serves as a historical
monument
for the community.
Okay.
But originally, it was inherited by his parents, by his children, because it was his own personal property, not owned by government. He used his own personal resources to build this.
Obviously, so he comes and he stays and he goes.
Stays here. And when he's due to go, he
so what has made his relationship with the Jua? Is it the Jua under Abuja?
That was when the town was, the village was under Suleja Emirate.
The visits of emirs of Abuja or now Suleja to communities under their emirate or beyond is a testament of the political relations that existed around Suleja or and Abuja before the federal capital. In fact, in Jua, I saw documents of papers of taxes traditional institutions used to collect from adult members of communities in periods before local government reforms of 1976. Virtually all the contiguous localities around Abuja used to send their collections to Jua, who in turn report to Suleja or Abuja then. I particularly reflect this because I clearly remember the tax collection procedure in my village. To think of how many tax-paying adults abandoned their homes, never to return, because of this taxation system at that time. While still in Jua, let me say something about their emir, Idris Musha. It is not a digression, but I'm always interested in something unique, something unusual. I came to Jua, and I have an interface with the emir of Jua. After doing an interview on the subject matter of my own purpose, he showed me an archive. You know what I have in the archive? Over 30 different brands of radios and radio recorders. These are recorders that some of them may have been up to 40 to 50 years. He has kept them. The issue with the emir here is that he has an ardent love for radio and he has an ardent love for journalism. But it doesn't stay there. He literally buys everything he can about these things, gadgets, everything, so that he can keep them and sustain his thirst for having a radio. All these places you see, all these things you have seen, belong to him. In fact, he showed me this radio.
You see here, it was all, this radio was bought by my uncle, Male Shaibu Umaru Zuba. It was he was a messenger to Government Secondary School, Abuja. So he bought it on 21st January 1975 at the rate of £28. So you can see the paper inside.
But Your Royal Highness keeping all these things, and they're not too many.
They are not too many.
What are you doing with them?
It's a hobby. It's a hobby.
Like people keep stamps?
Yeah, I love them. Because I can listen to radio. I can watch television.
Your Royal Highness, but how many radios can you listen to at a time?
But if anyone that I will remove it, I use it and take it back.
And to imagine that this radio, some of them have been there for over 30, 40 years.
And I can operate all of them. So I'll operate one for you now in my office.
Well, you talk of hobby. Hobbies can do anything. But maybe I don't have the wherewithal to keep as many a radio as the emir has.
Let me take this one back.
He also keeps that ancient gramophone that requires you change their pin regularly and have such big plates with the Decca or Polydor branded in them. Well, I did not leave the palace of Jua without a radio of my own. Apparently a gift from the emir himself. How thrilled I am. Unique, the radio, by all means. I've never seen anything like it. And then it has about 6 facilities. I can record voice with it. I can put a memory on it so that it can play for me. Yes. There is a radio station. If a lot of things that you don't imagine radios can do, this one can do. And you know what? It is cute. Our subject is still the interplay of the old and new in Abuja, though. One interesting aspect of the city of Abuja is the preeminent position of Zuma Rock and its looks. In the ancient period, it served as a defensive retreat for the Koro and the Bagi tribe who live under it. In modern day, it stands like a symbol of Abuja. But only about 10% of it is in Abuja. 90% is in Niger State. It is nothing of note here that all the settlements that flourished under the Morocco for centuries are all now in the FCT. It remains as well too that Zumarok is the gateway to Abuja or out of it.
But when you look at the Federal Capital Territory that came out, Zuma falls in Federal Capital Territory, then Zumarok falls in Niger. If not, the people of Zuma are Koros. The people of Chachi are Koros. Zuma is not Zuma. It's not Zuma. It's a Zuma. The meaning of a Zuma is where guinea fowl stays, and you go and cut them. So in Koro language, a Zuma, so the abbreviation is Zuma. It's not Zuma. It's not Zuma Rock. It's Zuma, Azu, guinea fowl, Ma, cut.
The images of Abuja represent the hard work of thousands of people now lost in the milieu of life I found two people who started work on the FCT the moment the first grass was cut to pave the way for the city. They are old and retired now, but their memories flourish.
That airport was airstream before. The headquarters used to carry people from Lagos and now for that airstream. They turned to airport now. Formerly it was airstream.
Okay, so you did the work on that?
Yes.
Now we cleared the airport then before they cleared the bridge from the airport to there. All the bridge were in there then before they started work. And then now the bridge was developed then before we retired.
Okay. That radio house, that Gwagarada, where the people who did it, all those Gwagarada quarters, you that road, go bus at Ujam, near Mina, that Gwagarada side, all the quarter, and we do that NYC quarter for Gidi there, where the people who did it.
You must have worked very hard at that time. How many workers were there? How many of you were there? 20, obviously.
20 days. So we are not planting for Abuja. So we begin to employ people every day by day. Mechanic day, electrician day, plumber day, carpenter day, every complete.
Today, when you see Abuja, how do you feel?
I feel quite all right. I feel all right.
You are satisfied with what you
what I'm seeing
and the contribution you gave to see it come up like this. Mr. Matthew, when you see Abuja today, what comes to your mind?
Then the thing is nice now. Abuja is very, very nice now.
Does it compare it to the time you start work?
No. The time when you start work, then all the things, then all the
Indeed, many indigenous inhabitants feel satisfied with the development brought to their doorstep on account of the FCT. But then, there are concerns on account of many issues, including the right to vote.
Let us get somebody that will at least elect as our leader. If they lie, let them call him anything. Let them call him any nomenclature. But it is seen that when other people in the state are voting their governor, we should be voting somebody that will lead us to, and we have political responsibility to us. We can call him, if we have any need for anything, we will hold him responsible. But in the present situation, we cannot hold the minister responsible because he was appointed by the president. We cannot hold him responsible. We didn't elect him there. So we can't hold him responsible for any of his actions.
It is because of the law which you said that all inhabitants should vacate the federal capital.
But they changed the law. The same government, it was an administrative decision. And when they were changing this decision, they're supposed to change it to wholly change everything that affects the people that are residing here.
There are concerns as well about the patterns of development of the FCT today. One of such concerns is the belief that most development programs are concentrated in the federal capital city only. This allows the capital city to drip into overpopulation and invite pressure on its infrastructure.
I will tell you, based on planning, the development is going as it should be. The only challenge we're having is the fact that the population is going as fast at the pace that it should be. Yeah. But the challenge we are having is the fact that the population that we have now has outweighed the projections. Because as at today said, by as the first phase is developed, we should have less than 3 million people occupied, which is the infrastructure that we have. And like I said earlier, the city is planned. We don't know where what should be. Bearing in mind the number of people that should occupy those particular spaces. But today we have like almost 200% more of people occupying what the original number of population should be using. So we have our facilities, the infrastructures are overstretched. And again, what should have happened is the fact that the development should have been decentralized to other satellite towns. For example, some federal ministry shouldn't be in the city, in the center. Gobalada, for example, should have accommodated Federal Ministry of Agri because of the vast land there. We have Buhari for some good reasons. All the education facilities are in Buhari. JAM is there, law schools there. Why don't we move education ministry to Buhari? If we have decentralized the development and focus more in the satellite town, we shouldn't have had this overstretched facility. So I could say that a lot has been done, but there's still room for improvement. Going forward, we should focus more on the satellite town.
In all, There is a consensus that Abuja is living in line with this master plan, barring some human errors which can be addressed with the enforcement of compliance.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
This year has been quite awful, but due to the pandemic, which we all knew about.
During the pandemic, from the month of March down to October, we weren't paying a dime in the school.
I got to know about Survivor Fund on social media. When I got to know about it, I related it with our director, which he affirmed that we should apply.
I didn't take interest in it at first. I thought government, all these forms that we are filling, no one is actually paying.
But once the money came in, I was so happy.
It was out 30,000 for each teacher, and it went a long way for the teachers.
I want to thank the federal government for having us in mind concerning this Survivor Fund initiative.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Drive in the rain.
It depends on the velocity of the rain.
Hello, and welcome to Conversations here on NTA. My name is Nike. I have some great guests in the house. I'll leave them to introduce themselves.
I'm Jibril Ibrahim.
What do you do?
I'm currently the PRO of the Abuja Muslim Forum. I'm a civil engineer by profession, but I'm currently the PRO, Public Relations Officer of Abuja Muslim Forum.
Okay.
And I am Hawa Mahmoud Adam, a student of Islamic Studies from Nasarawa State University, married with 5 children.
Okay, great. We talked about having 5 kids and how you stay, how you stay balanced at the end of the day. So what we're talking about today in the conversation room is after the fasting. What are the expectations? What are the benefits, health benefits, spiritual benefits, and so many other things? That's what we'll be talking about today on Conversations. We'll be right back after this. Welcome.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take its pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh,
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes. See if she wants to ask something. No, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day I got tired of all that and I said,
I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
In fact, our husbands are our firstborns. The husband needs more attention than even the children.
It's not only about work, it's not only about family. They need to take the time to look after themselves, and we don't do that.
They took my money, I paid every fees, I never asked to be hoisted as a governor. I wanted to be allowed to go out there and contest for the position of governorship candidate first.
There's nothing greater than looking back and seeing that while you were aspiring, you were able to inspire others.
Power to women.
Yes,
we need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely.
Life after fasting, what are the true benefits? I'll leave Jibrin to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, life after fasting is largely a thing of what's even the fasting about and what are we carrying forward from the fasting. And like from the Quran, the core purpose of fasting is to build what is called taqwa. Taqwa is self-restraint.
Okay.
You know, so the whole fasting thing is how do you gain control of your bodily needs? If you gain control of your bodily needs, you would be able to move closer to Allah, to God, wherein you achieve a higher level of spirituality. Because like a lot of human weaknesses, greed, impatience, you know, many of these things are the things that the month of Ramadan aims to help you curtail. Okay. And again, you know, Allah has specifically also changed the devil, the big distraction, the big devil, so to say. So it's now really you, lesser influence from external stuff. Whatever you feel in Ramadan is you. So you have a chance to really control yourself. And then by the middle of it, like he said, that the first 10 days of Ramadan is the period of mercy. The second 10 days of Ramadan is period of forgiveness. And the last 10 days of Ramadan is the period of, you know, taking you away, saving the person from hellfire.
Okay.
So with all this, it's like a gradual progression to salvation, so to say. So I think after Ramadan is how one is able to carry those exercises, like going into an exam, going into a cleaning process, like your car goes for maintenance.
Yes.
You come after it, how effectively can you like carry, you don't now start driving the car roughly, can you now take those benefits that, okay, I was able to control my anger, so after Ramadan, does that mean I throw all that benefit I got out of the window? That's at the level of your personal feelings. Okay. But at spiritual level, there are a number of things that increases spirituality after you've gained control of your body, which is something like the extra prayers. The extra prayers, you have things like giving charity. The month of Ramadan is the month where you should give a lot of charity. Okay. So when you come out of all those things, it's a chance for you to sustain them. It's actually the success of Ramadan is measured by how long can you sustain those higher level performance of your body control and your spiritual connection. How long after Ramadan can you sustain it is a measure of how successful the Ramadan itself was. Okay. So it's really a fantastic opportunity. And especially from the spiritual side, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has also told us to fast extra 6 days in the second month, so that you don't just shut off, hey, alhamdulillah, we've finished Ramadan, and you just shut off. No. You are now encouraged to fast another 6 days in the month of Shawwal, the subsequent month. Okay. So that gives you, so that you don't just tune off and then just, you know, go on a binge on returning back to your old self. So that's like going back to the normal self. Okay. So after Ramadan is going to be sincerely a test for one to get, okay, how well did I do? If you go and 2 days later, or even on the day of Eid, you're already like, somebody insults you, you're already all agitated, you're already not praying on time, you're already not giving charity again, one might start to check. You should make an introspection. That's how it seems that Ramadan didn't go very well, if you could not retain many of those benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you want to?
Yeah, he's right when he said that Ramadan, the fasting is something that has to do with the cleansing of the soul. You know, there is a prophetic tradition that says the shaitan is running through the blood of mankind, just like the veins. So fasting cleans those debts and everything. It makes somebody pure and clean. So when you look at it, that's why you see that people during Ramadan, that calmness, that's, you know, readiness to worship, readiness to give, readiness to share, that love, care, support. You see so many good activities going on during Ramadan. So when we look at that good activities, some people easily forget. After, as he just rightly said, that after Ramadan, some people forget that, yeah, I'm supposed to pray promptly by the right time. No, I have something doing, I have to. But during Ramadan, you see the mosques is always filled to capacity. You see people, you know, even the people that you don't even know they were Muslims, that as in, you see them praying, you will be surprised that, so this person is actually a Muslim. He's praying with us today. Meanwhile, before Ramadan, I used to see him sitting. While we are praying, he would say, okay, I'll pray mine later. You know, all those kind of things. Yes. During Ramadan, it's really beautiful. You see the religion really, you know, going to high standards. You see, everybody is in good control. You know, all those drinking, smoking, bad habits, all these illegal sexual activities, you hardly see people roaming around because they are occupied. That hunger alone is a test. Is a test, because when you are hungry, the energy is not there to do extra things. You are supposed to preserve it to connect with your Creator.
Could you tell us, I know there are some certain guidelines for women during fasting, because there are particular days that they are not allowed to fast. Could you enlighten us about that?
Actually, as a woman, especially a woman, they are being divided in different categories. Like a pregnant woman, she's allowed to drop her fasting if actually that fast will affect her health or the baby's health, because Islam does not bring hardship to humanity. It's always bring ease. So if she cannot really fast because she feels like the baby, especially when the pregnancy in the second trimester or the third trimester, you see that a lot of hunger, sickness, you know, she will always feel weak. So if actually within her she knows that she cannot make up, cope with the fasting, she can drop the fasting and pay back after the Ramadan. And she has like the whole year after Ramadan to pay back. If she can pay one, after a week she fast another one until she complete the ones that she missed. Also, a breastfeeding mother is exempted if that will bring harm to her baby, especially newborn baby that cannot take any other food apart from milk. Then if she did not eat enough, the baby will be harmed by that. Then she's also allowed to be exempted from fasting, and she can make up after. Also, a woman that is on her menstrual period, that's monthly cycles, she cannot fast. That one is confirmed. She doesn't have option. She is exempted from fasting, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said that he is pure and he needs people that are pure. So it's like when you are when a woman is going through that menstrual cycle, she is not completely pure, so she cannot fast, she cannot pray, she cannot do some certain things, but actually is encouraged to recite the Holy Quran, and she can do that if she has it on her head, that's memorize it, or she can listen or read other Islamic books, engage herself in, you know, other Islamic activities such as remembrance of Allah, such as you know, when she have so many things to partake during the Ramadan. Even in the kitchen while slicing onions, she can be doing her zikr, subhanallah, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. She can be doing that to earn more reward, because Allah knows her situation. She's not just staying away from fasting because she doesn't want to fast, but because it's compulsory for her to just stay back, and she can make up after the month of Ramadan.
I've heard about making up fast, but I understand that there are some other voluntary fasts that people do after Ramadan. I don't know if Jibril can tell us a little bit about that. Do you have to do it? Is it something that I know for the women you have to after your period is over, but what about in the case of the men and voluntary fasts even generally for people? Could you tell us about that?
You see, I think largely it's to understand the purpose. You know, Islam a lot of times is driven by purpose. So actions are judged, are interpreted and managed based on the reason, the intention for doing it. So fasting is such a beautiful phenomenon, a beautiful act of worship of the five primary pillars of Islam. And the thing with fasting is it's a time to, like I said before, self-control is key. Because, like, for example, on the scale on the Judgment Day, Islamically, what is the heaviest thing? Because it will be a scale. So what is the heaviest thing on the scales? If they put all the sins and all the good deeds and everything, what is the heaviest on that scale? Is a good character. And what's a good character? Is your ability to be fair to somebody, to not take what doesn't belong to you. And, you know, self-control has a lot to do. So Ramadan is a chance to gain that self-control. Outside the month, you can now, like every Mondays and Thursdays, the Prophet used to fast so that you don't go out of tune.
Okay.
You don't go out of tune, you keep getting that benefit. Every Mondays and Thursday, you are encouraged to fast. Then in the months, you know, the Islamic month is based on the moon.
Yes.
So from the 13th, 14th, 15th, the moon is usually in the fullest. That's like, it's called the white days, because on those nights, you see the full moon.
Yes.
So on those 3 days, you are also encouraged to fast. These are all voluntary fasts to keep you in tune. You know, like it's all we would know, the fasting has a lot of, not just the spiritual benefits, there are actually a lot of physical benefits. You know, you gain control over what you eat. A lot of us do not have strong control over of what we take in. So there is, so generally the issue of fasting, voluntary fasting is an excellent thing. One could do it. Anybody can do it. I mean, if it's not like for the ladies, it's not like they're off salat at that point. But for the man, it's excellent. There are prescribed periods that one could do it, like the Mondays and Thursdays, the white days. Let me see, then there are some times like before the big Salah also, the Eid al-Kabir, they could also fast within that first 10 days. So there are a lot of opportunities to fast across the year that are not binding.
Okay.
The one that is binding is the one, if you break it, if you have a situation that makes you break it. For example, you are traveling. For example, you are not feeling fine.
Okay.
And like she said, the Ramadan, Allah did not prescribe the Ramadan. The fasting is not like a punishment. So if for a good reason you are traveling, the whole stress of trip, you are free to cut it and then repay one back. But because it's compulsory, if you now feel like, okay, I'm not even feeling like fasting today, you just be like, everybody is fasting, maybe I'm not fasting. No, the repayment for that is 60 continuous days. So, you know, the repayment of that, like, I don't feel like fasting. No, you feel like fasting.
Okay.
It's like saying you don't feel like praying, you don't feel like fasting. Those are pillars, those are things that are compulsory that you should do. Okay. If you break them, the expiation, the repayment, the atonement, so to say, are more serious.
Okay.
So that's why you see, that's the beauty of the month of a lot of things in Islam. There's a compulsory thing, but Allah gives you the voluntary one. Like even prayer that we do, you see that there are the 5 compulsory ones, but you have a chance to pray nawafil, wake up in the midnight and make 2 rakats in the afternoon, after this, after that. Those are voluntary. So you get used to it. Okay. You can do them, you don't do them. If you don't do them, you don't just get the benefit.
Okay.
But if you do them, you get the reward. So if you feel like, no, okay, there's no punishment. But for the compulsory, when they now become compulsory, like if I may go into it, you have the 5 pillars of Islam. The first one is the belief in Allah and His prophets. The second one is salat. So you have compulsory salat, but you have a lot of voluntary salat. Okay. The third one is this fasting. You have the compulsory in the month of Ramadan, but you have a lot of voluntary ones. Then the fourth one is zakat, to give from your wealth, which is if you've accumulated like 1.2 million now, and it's in your account, is in your possession for a year.
Yes.
Then you are mandated to take 2.5% of that.
Okay.
So if you have a million, 2.5% of a million is 25,000. 10% is 100,000. 2.5 is like 25,000. So after a year, you are compelled to remove that 2.5%. You must. So that's the compulsory. But the optional one is the charity you give every day.
Yes.
And then for Hajj, which is the 5th one, you have the Hajj that if you have the means and you have the resources, and you have the health, then you must go. If you don't have the means, it's understandable. Immediately you have the means, then it becomes binding on you.
Okay.
And that also has its own voluntary side.
Okay.
So all acts have their compulsory side and then the voluntary side. If you don't do them, okay, you don't feel like doing them. But the compulsory one, you have to do. So that ensures that people, you see, I think the whole challenge that Islam deals with is the issue of humans getting distracted. if you leave everything to voluntary, if there are no law enforcement, essentially, you see people, a lot of people would rather do what they want to do. So, like a lot of things in Islam, from my understanding, Allah puts some things that are compulsory to keep you in check, to keep you in control of your body. So that's the thing about some things being compulsory and some things being optional, voluntary, that you can use to prep up yourself to get the benefits and all those things. So that way, human being should be to have a lot of self-control. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that during this period, the last days, it's also quite significant. I don't know if anyone is ready to throw light on that, but I know that it's a very big thing towards the very last days.
From your own view, what have you heard about it?
Well, I know that there's a Night of Majesty. I've heard about that, but I'm not totally sure what that is. So I don't know, maybe Hawa is going to tell us about that.
Actually, the last 10 days of Ramadan are the days rounding up the Ramadan of 18 completely. In that last 10 days, especially the odd days, as the 21st, the 23rd, 5th, 27th, I have more of a expectation that the Laylatul Qadr will fall on an odd day. As after that means the 21st, we start expecting it from the night of the 21st, then the 23rd, the 25th to the 27th of the Ramadan. And that day is a day that's any act being done that day is multiplied. I think Ustaz 83 times or so.
Yes,
83,000.
83,000. That's like 1,000 months.
Yes.
Ramadan, it's the value, anything you do on that night, if you're able to catch that night. It's been
multiplied like 83,000, like worship of 83 years. Yeah. So if people are eager to, witness that night, and that night cannot be prescribed by ordinary person. It's just when you have, some people might be sleeping, and if Allah wills, He shows them that. And it's being said that it's a very nice environment. You see calmness, you see peace, you see, as if you are not in this world, you are somewhere else. You see that night is always calm, and the weather is being cool. It's not hot weather, and some that are praying that during the last 10 days, you can actually partake in tahajjud, that's voluntary prayers. After the Taraweeh, you still take your tahajjud and keep your day, your night fully involved, yes, so that you will be able to witness, you have that hope to witness that night, because that's part of the Ramadan, and everybody wants that blessing for himself. So if you did not partake, you sleep, and you did not engage in good activities, you might be exempted from partaking in that night. Also, when we talk about that last 10 days, you see that people sometimes seems to deviate a little. Instead of them to take full control of the last 10 days, you see them preparing for Salah, thinking of sewing, thinking of food, chin, I want to do samosa, I want to go to this park, they forget, and that's where they need more dedication. But all those things are not compulsory. Wearing new clothes in Salah is not compulsory. It's only when you have the capacity.
Yes.
That's one thing, one beautiful thing about...
how do you get them to focus? How do you get them to say, okay, wait, Salah is good, Zobo is good, the chicken and everything is good, but still, let's focus on these last few days. How do you do that?
The focus is, I always encourage people to plan.
Okay.
Planning and timing. When you know your purpose of creation, a Muslim is say that, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the jinn and the mankind for the purpose of worship. They should worship Him. So that fasting, if you look at it as a purpose, as in is a pillar, I need to dedicate, I need to do it sincerely, I need to, carry myself along, remove all worldly activities, as in, you want to relate with your creator. You want to be closer to him like never before. So you have to, you know, when you have that in your mind, you'll be eager. When I'm doing this, okay, there are so many things that I can do. I can be doing zikr, I can, that's supplications, that's some azkar, I can be doing this, I have to go to tafsir, I have to, you know, keep myself calm, as in not overstress myself, so that I will be able to wake up during the night and also pray voluntary prayer. It's not every day. This is a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he created mankind to test them. He created the man, life and death for tests. So this is part of the life. He created you. This fasting is taking some things away from you and you endure. You don't have to go to your husband during the daytime from the sun sets to sunrise to sunset.
Yes.
So you don't have to eat. You see something, even the smell alone, when you are cooking, you see that the aroma alone, how I wish I would test it. But that control is there because you fear Allah. You know that even though he's not there, he is watching.
He's watching.
Wherever you are, he watches. So that self-control that you have will help you to, you know, plan and time. No, actually, this is not what I want. This is what I want. And if really you know what you want to, you know, gather. Because you don't even know if you will reach the next month, the next Ramadan, to say. Because that is a stipulated period. So you have to, you know, take the whole time, dedicate it for that particular Ramadan so that you have that conscience and piety in you. And you, inshallah, get the best of reward. And you know one thing with Ramadan is that all the other 5 pillars, their reward is stipulated. If you pray, you earn so reward. If you pay zakat, you are cleansing your wealth. If you, testimony, without testimony, you are already out of Islam. So if you fast, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that fasting is mine and the reward is from me. He did not even tell us
what that reward
is.
That
So
reward, we just
that
say,
will
just do it
ginger
well
you.
and-
That, he said, is his own. Okay. Because that fasting might even become a way of intercession during the judgment day.
Yes.
It will come and say, this person fasted sincerely. He has the right to hide and take water. He did not take water. He can hide and do other certain things that are forbidden, but he refused to do it because he fears his creator and he wants that reward. Ya Allah, forgive him and have mercy on him. Then you might be lucky if you dedicate and, you know, have that hope and desire. Allah will assist you, and because Allah is a merciful God and forgiving. So it's, you know, really uplifts the standard of mankind.
Okay. Let me ask a question coming from a non-Muslim perspective. What are the real guidelines about iftar? Are you supposed to have that as a quiet time with your family? Or is it a period where you're supposed to open the doors and let everybody in and feed them? What's the real...
Iftar is for everybody.
Okay.
When you are looking for reward, you can't select that this is what I want. This is not a no.
Okay.
It's for everybody.
Okay.
You embrace everybody. That unity. Like, my neighbor is not a Muslim. But when she see me cooking, I give her every day. When we cook, I will tell her that, are you interested? This is what we have. She said, yes. Even yesterday she said, actually, I was very hungry. I'm grateful. That alone is something. You have put a smile in somebody's face, on somebody's face, and that alone is the reward. Okay. You have earned yourself a good reward. So it's not meant for only Muslim. You invite your neighbors, even far people. You see that you take the food. You don't say that, you did not fast. Why will you eat from my food? No.
Because I get those questions sometimes, you know, but are you fasting? Or, when you say, are we coming to your house this evening? Say, but are you fasting? You get, so sometimes you get those, people are just...
Some of them could be jocular, actually.
Yes.
As in, but sometimes the iftar is actually, the whole essence of Ramadan is, you know, helping people come together even more.
Yes, unity.
It helps in form of unity, in form of self-respect, you know, building relationships. So iftar, after all the self-restraint during the day, iftar is a fantastic opportunity to, you know, take what you're, you know, open the door to friends, open the door to the family. So that's why sometimes you go, you break your fast here, tomorrow you break your fast there.
Yes.
Sometimes even in the mosque, you see the whole community comes to, break their fast in the mosque. For example, in the mosque that I work, I do some of my stuffs there. There is feeding for 1,000 people every day. So 1,000. So everybody goes there, okay, and everybody just eats together.
Yes.
One thing with Ramadan is it's a chance that even somebody that is weak with respect to his spirituality and some of these things gets drawn in because there is a whole mobilization around it.
Yes.
You go, like yesterday night, during the tahajjud in the night, the mosque was full. Even the car park was full and everything. I mean, in the midnight, not during the day. People wake up in the midnight, come over to the mosque, and everybody is there praying. So there is that community mobilization. There is a whole spiritual mobilization, and everybody is there thing. So just like Iftar too, is a time, it's a happy moment for everybody at that time.
To come to add on Iftar, when it is the Prophet ﷺ said that when you feed a fasting person, you get the same reward as the person, and his own reward is intact, will not be reduced. So come to think of it, if you feed so many people, how many rewards, how much will you earn for yourself?
It's like using one fast, fasting one and getting 10.
Yes.
Because so it becomes like a little bit of a competition. That I'll feed you. Okay, let me feed you. Please come and break fast in my place. Come and break fast in my place and everything. So
you see people inviting. How I would like, I say I have like 10 people in my family. Can I come to your house? You are welcome. Just come, please like come to my house. You see people sending invitations. Come and eat with me. Come and have iftar in my house. So it's really interesting.
Okay. So in the spirit of true unity, NTA also organized their own iftar for Muslims and non-Muslims. We'll see some scenes from the breaking of fast, and we'll be right back after this in the conversation room.
أفواه تشرب من وحي الرحمن وربك يمنحها شهدا وحفاوى فتزيد ورودا وتلاوى وتراها عين الرحمن أفواه تشرب من وحي الرحمن وربك يمنحها شهدا وحفاوى فتزيد ورودا وتلاوى وتراها عين الرحمن وصدور تشتاق إلى القرآن وربك يشرحها دفئا.
One of the spirit derivable benefits of this month is promotion of peaceful coexistence, extension of hands of friendship, total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why we do that in NTA, we, the Muslim community, seeking the support of the management, is that to showcase that oneness of Nigeria.
A program of this nature is so interesting, seeing the Muslim community calling the Christian community to come together and also celebrate this. Not only that, but also to give a message to all the citizens of this country that in such a time as this, we need unity.
The first, the second, and the third, I am happy to say I am part of it. And sincerely speaking, it is a good thing they are doing, because this will unite, will go a long way to send a signal to Muslim and Christians that there's nothing like being united.
And over the years, we have been preaching religious tolerance. That's one of the tenets of the two religions, peaceful coexistence, religious tolerance, and it's exhibited here in NTA.
And back to my childhood days, this period was a period of celebration for all of us in the community because we will eat and drink. At the end of the fasting period, we will sing Lo Kwachin Azimi Yawuche Zamuchi Zamushamukoshi Hurada no Tuodamia Lo Kwachin Azimi Yawuche. You know, that was our song we sing. And during the time of fasting, we'll go around from house to house, all of us as children, Christians and Muslims, and we will sing all kinds of songs. Asharua, Asharua Lapia, Asharua, Masijidan Nambachi Kuke Sallah, Asharua, Mbachine Kutashi Doman Allah, Asharua, Naima Parki Nasiruna Al Jannah, Asharua, Yanazama Akula. And so, we lived as one community. Let us continue to be one. In spite of our various commitment to faith, there is a lot of commonality. May God grant us peace in Nigeria, and may our gathering not be in vain. Let it be to God's glory.
I commend the two communities we have in NTA, the Christian community and the Muslim community, for working in concert to ensure that NTA enjoys a perfect and conducive atmosphere for work and play. Management will continue to work with the two communities in sustaining this conviviality. I thank you and say Barka de Sallah in advance to everybody.
زمري وما أجملهم بين ذهاب ومجيء كالنحل يلاقيك رحيقا ويعود سموا وبريئا.
All right, so the scenes from Breaking a Fast at NTA, where we bring people together in unity, love, and peace. All right, we're still in the conversation. We're talking about breaking a fast and life after Ramadan. Maybe, Hawa, you want to tell us about moving on after the fasting period, what you as a woman expect, maybe some of the things that you're personally expecting, and some advice for women out there as well.
Actually, as Ustaz rightly said here, he said that, carrying the spiritual, the personal, and, impact of Ramadan, after Ramadan. That's voluntary fast, like immediately after Ramadan, he said we have Sita Shawwal, that's 6 days of fasting. And in that, since it's not a compulsory fast, you can break it. You can do it at once, 6 days at once. Then you can even break it one today, one next tomorrow, the way it's convenient for you. Okay. And that's six fasts can only be done after the first 3 days of Eid. That's because God always wants us to, have ease of things, because he doesn't want to impose something that is difficult. After fasting 29 to 30 days, then immediately you are to fast another 6 days. No, you have to, eat, gather some more strength and energy to have to fast that 6 days. Some women might, the fast, because it's for the whole month, that's around 29 to 30 days also. That 6 days, you can spread it throughout the month. Okay. For women that are off Salah, that's women that are on their menstrual cycle, can, relax a little bit. Then after that, they can take over. Also, children, you can encourage our young or teenagers to participate, because it makes you remember that fasting of Ramadan is not all over. We have to, follow up. And there is a the prophetic tradition that says that the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam seek for, to see to reach to the month of Ramadan 6 months before Ramadan. Okay. So they will be praying, Allahumma balighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, let us reach the month of Ramadan. They will keep on that prayer. And 6 months after again, that's a year round. 6 months after, they will keep on praying. Oh Allah, accept from us our Ramadan. Oh Allah, accept from us our Ramadan. Because you don't even know whether you are just staying with hunger. You might be doing something that is wrong. You don't even know. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will not punish you for something that you did wrongfully. But also we need to seek for knowledge. Because you cannot sit at home and say, I don't know. That idleness is not an excuse. So you seek for knowledge. Know what are the rightful things. There are so many books. I have one book on menstrual and postnatal bleeding for women. And we have these 5 pillars of Islam, questions and answers, 500 questions and answers that you find that there are questions being raised by other people and the scholars combine it together to bring it together. While reading that book, you find something that, this thing have been bothering me. So that's how it's supposed to be, because this question and answer, the question that people ask, then the scholars answer it and combine it in form of a book. So also after that, a woman can fast the 6 voluntary fast after Ramadan. That's the Sitta Shawwal, before her makeup fast, the one that she missed, because this one is stipulated within that 1 month. That's 29 to 30 days. And if she missed it, she have missed. But her own makeup fast can come throughout there. She can decide to, if it is 7, this month I'll fast 1, next month 1, till a month before Ramadan, a day before Ramadan you can fast. So it's a good thing to, to be carried along. That's why the voluntary fasting, the Mondays and the Thursdays, the white days, that's the 3 days that my brother here rightly said is important. It keeps you in the spirit. You always have that, if I'm fasting, even if Ramadan is coming, you won't feel that, I have to stop eating now. I have, your system is always occupied with food. I want to eat granite. I want to chew chewing gum. I want to, I want to chop. Some people even lie down with some things close to the bed when they wake up. So that will help you to control and is healthy for you. Fasting is good. It's remove all the dirtiness, the excess fats, things. You see, everybody is looking normal now. No pot belly, nothing, Everybody will reduce to normal. And it's not that you have reduced, you are sick. No. You have removed the excess fats and dirtiness in you, and you are clean. So to keep that going, we need to continue with the voluntary fast. But it's not compulsory, but it's recommended, and it's strongly recommended. So
I think additionally, going forward from Ramadan, there are things like charity. I like to emphasize that because across board, even philosophically and everything, givers don't lack. So givers never lack. So even after Ramadan, the whole charity that Ramadan tries to, bring to prominence in one's mind, it's something that should be sustained after Ramadan. One idea that people have said is, whatever change you have a little box in your house where you have a change, okay, I give this to charity. So that every other day, every 3 days, every week, whatever periodically, you could drop. At a certain time, you give it out. You give it to the right charity. And then another thing that is important after Ramadan is what you do little but consistently. The Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said is better than what you want to do a big thing and then you are inconsistent about it. So I think that's another thing that we could carry forward from Ramadan. Like if you say give, it's not that until you have some big word, until you are waiting for that contract. As long as you can eat, you are eating. And you are okay. That means you have enough to give, however little. So giving little consistently is very key. And then even the tahajjud, all the extra prayer, you need not pack big that you do once and then you get tired. Even if you wake in the midnight, you make just 2 rakats, just something of just 10 minutes, so that you can do it consistently. You don't get tired, you don't wear yourself out over time. So that giving little consistently is very, very, very important. So it's among those things that one could, look forward to carrying forward. And then one key thing for Muslims after Ramadan is the whole blessing and the control that Allah gives ones the power over during Ramadan. one of them enables you to pray on time, the compulsory salat. So that's one thing I would really encourage a lot of us to find a way to guard. Whatever it is, we don't fall outside Ramadan, and those compulsory, the basic salat, we are no more praying it on time. We are no more praying it in congregation, and everything that we used to do in Ramadan. The basic ones, we must keep an eye on them, not to fall below them, So I think those things are key. And again, if we look at the NTA, the shots of the iftar, the NTA iftar, you see the number of people that came together. Communalism is very important. You saw non-Muslims there, you saw Muslims there. That is the essence of Ramadan. That is the essence of Islam, helping communities to come together. So many, if you take, I worry sometimes at the acrimony, at the tension that is between communities sometimes. When, like the typical verse in the Quran that, lakum dinukum, for you is your religion, for me is my religion. You can tell me about your religion, it's no big deal. I can tell you about mine, and that's it. But there are some common enemies around poverty that doesn't know whatever religion you are. Look, let's deal with it together. Let's support each other and deal with it. You have, I don't have. Give me today. Tomorrow I have, you don't have, I give you. So that kind of giving, that kind of atmosphere we saw there is something that should be sustained after Ramadan. So maybe I'll ask NTA to call us for more.
And actually giving, the Prophet ﷺ says the hands that give is always at the top. The hands that take is always going down. So if you always relax to say, okay, let me beg, like this is common with the Al-Majri people, they will tell you, Allah ibakum samu. Why wouldn't they? May God give you so that you give me. Why won't you pray for yourself? Oh, Allah, give me. No, you pray for somebody, Allah ibakum samu. So you don't want Allah to give you, then you are praying for somebody to get and give you, you are lazy. And Islam does not encourage laziness. So you always seek that, okay, if I have 10 naira, I must remove 1 naira or share with somebody. Even if it is orange, let me buy orange, cut it, slice it into 4. Take 1, this is all I have. And Allah judge people according to their intention. You end up bringing so much food with big meats, but your intention there is not good. It's just to show my neighbor that I pass you. What can you do? During iftar, you even only brought dates, that's the bino, to give people, or pap without even sugar. But in my house, we eat to, we eat to our satisfaction. Look at chickens. If you see this out, that means I'm eating big in my house. No, that intention alone have erased the reward. So when you want to do it, you have good reward. The person that is giving small quantity with good intention and strong faith and hoping for Allah's reward, you end up getting a bigger reward than the person that would use show off. You come and say, oh, I have to, invite thousands of people to come and feed them. It's just to make mouth, so that tomorrow he will not tell you that, so many people, I fed like 100,000 people during this Ramadan. I did charity to this. It's just to make fame. He's showing off. And that is completely wrong and forbidden. And he is not going to earn any reword. But
because he has essentially gotten his reward from the faith.
Yes, because that's the Prophet ﷺ. That's what he said. He said that during the judgment day, some people now said, okay, go and take your reward. You have taken your reward already from the people that you did for, because you wanted them to say you are a good person, you are a scholar, you are rich, you did that, you did charity, you have already gotten your reward, so you don't have anything here. So the person will be stranded, and there is no way to come back and make up all those things that he missed. So we have to become dedicated and focus, good intention, because there is a prophetic tradition that says that the heart is in control, and if the heart spoils, all the deeds, the good deeds, the deeds will be spoiled, because the heart has control. If I'm doing something, my heart will tell me, do this is good, don't do this is bad. And Islam is all about punishment and reward, but that punishment is not meant for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a merciful God. It's not that he is threatening us with punishment. No, he wants us to have a peaceful and harmonious society, coming together, free of evil and vices. That's why he's threatening. If you steal, let them cut off your hand. If you commit illegal sexual intercourse, if you are married, you have to be killed. So that tomorrow somebody will take example from that. If I did this, I will be killed. I cannot go there. It's a no-go area. No, if you did not pray, you enter hellfire, because you have to pray. That's the essence of your worship. You have to give charity. If you give charity, you are cleansing your wealth, and that's bringing, bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. You see that you remove from it and give somebody, and it makes him happy. Come to, let me not...
we're actually out of time right now, but it's been so good to
Zakatul Fitr.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
We're out of time. Maybe we'll have you on another show to give us a lot more insights on this.
This is also important because it's aftermath of Ramadan.
Okay, go ahead.
The Zakatul Fitr is something that is not is obligatory to some extent for people that have the capacity, not generally. Then it's given 2 days before the fasting, before Eid. You can start giving 2 days before Eid till the morning of the Eid prayer, that's the Salah day, before going to the mosque. And the essence of doing that is that you help, if I don't have what to eat during the Salah on Eid day, by giving me that, you have made my day. And it's actually being given from the majority of what we eat. For instance, in Abuja here, majority of what we eat is rice. So you give out is average from the handful, full hands of average person, not smallish, not too big. And it's easier now. We have the one container for measurement. You just take one full and you give it. You count, even if it's an infant that is being given birth today, you give out for him. The people that you feed, your drivers, your house help, people that that feeds under you. So you have to, you know, give out each for one person. You take that measurement for one person. And that's also a very good thing, because it makes, if you make somebody happy and, you know, reduce his burden, Allah will reduce your own burden, inshallah.
All right. Thank you, Hawa. Thank you, Jibrin, for coming in. It's been fantastic talking to you about Ramadan, and as we round up on it, we wish you both the very best, and that we hope to have you as well again in the conversation room. This has been Conversations here on NTA Network. Our social media handles are available on the screen. We would like to hear from you. What does Ramadan mean to you? Please be sure to get in touch with us. We always read the feedback that you send to us and appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you another time. This is Nike with the rest of the people in the house saying goodbye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Osun Osogbo Festival is a traditional celebration that is believed to be 600 years old, practiced in Nigeria's southwestern state of Osun. The 2-week festival is considered to be the biggest annual traditional religious event of the Yoruba people. It attracts thousands of worshippers and spectators, not just from Nigeria, but from all over the world.
Ìránṣẹ́ Olódùmarè lọ́sùn láti gbà wáṣẹ̀ nínú gbogbo àwọn arúmọlẹ̀ tí Olódùmarè rán wáyé Ọ̀ṣun Òṣogbo nìkan lóbìnrin tí ń bẹ láàrin wọn tí ó sì sẹ́nìkan tó lè yẹ nídìí kúrò ń bẹ̀.
Ọ̀ṣun jẹ́ òòṣà tí gbogbo ayé mọ̀ tó jẹ́ gbajúgbajà nínú àwọn arúmọlẹ̀ tí wọ́n wà ní àgbáyé.
The Osun Osogbo Festival was also created to re-establish the mystic bonds between the goddess and the people of the town.
Ní 1981/82 mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ru igbá Òṣogbo. Ó yìí ti wà ní àdéhùn wípé tó bá ti mú ọba nídìílé ọba tó bá wà lórí àpèrè, àwọn ọmọbìnrin ibẹ̀ òní wọ́n máa bá wọn ru igbá Ọ̀ṣun.
Historically, an ancestral occurrence led to the celebration of this festival. Once upon a time, a group of migrating people who were led by a great hunter called Olutimehi settled on the bank of Oshun River to save themselves from famine. At the riverside, Oshun the goddess appeared from the water in front of Olutimehi and requested him to lead the people to a special place which is present-day Oshogbo town.
This is the Oshun River. This is where the real action takes place. People come here for prayer.
The goddess promised to protect all the group and bring them prosperity in return for an annual sacrifice to her.
Ibi tí Ọ̀ṣun wà ń bẹ́ẹ̀ dòní kò sí kúrò láàyè rẹ̀ o. Kò ń ṣe òòṣà tẹ́nì kankan lè gbé lọ. Kò ń ṣe igi, kì í ṣọ̀pẹ̀, kì í ṣòkúta. Kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe tẹ́nì kan máa ń fojú rí àfẹn tó bá fẹ́ farahàn. Ọ̀ṣun Òṣogbo ń bẹ láàyè rẹ̀ kò sí ìdíkò ń bẹ o.
Today, the annual sacrifice to the Oshun River goddess is what is still celebrated as the Oshun Oshogbo festival.
À ṣètò bí igbá ó ṣe jáde láti mójútó igbá, láti mú arúgbá lọ sódò àti gbogbo àwọn ètùtù tó bá yẹ àti láti mú arúgbá padà wá sílé láyọ̀ àtàlàáfíà.
7 days to our festival. This water is more potent.
Oshun Oshogbo festival is accompanied by unique drumming.
Drumming is so essential and important in anything we do in Yoruba land.
Dancing, elaborate costumes, recitation of praise poetry, and so on. Apart from the deep spiritual aspect attached to the festival by adherents of the Oshun deity, it is also robustly rich in culture. The Oshun Oshogbo Sacred Grove, also known simply as the Oshun Sacred Grove, where the climax of the festival is celebrated, is a dense forest covering an area of 75 hectares on the outskirts of the city of Oshogbo in Oshun State along the Oshun River. The grove is believed to be the home of Oshun, the Yoruba goddess of fertility.
This is Oshun Olomoyoyo, telling us that she's a giver of many children.
It is dotted with sanctuaries and shrines, sculptures and artworks in her honor. The sacred grove was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2005. One of the major attractions of the festival is the Arugba. The Arugba, also known as the Calabash Carrier, is a calabash containing the sacrifice materials that would be used to appease and worship the goddess. It is carried across the town by a votary virgin on her head. As she leads the procession to the river, the people, seeing her as a representative of the goddess, cast their problems on her and say prayers. This calabash is believed to have been handed down to the ancestors of Oshogbo by Oshun goddess, who instructed that a royal virgin lady must carry it to the grove on the day of the festival.
This is where the Arugba will bring the calabash into. Entering this place with the calabash will be lifted on her head. She will slip off.
The king, known as the Ataoja, is the custodian and also credited as the representative of the Oshun ancestors, and he has the final say in all traditional matters.
A content will be taken to the river by Aworo Oshun. They will pour it. Some people will wait till when that thing is poured into that river before they start fishing.
On the grand finale of Oshun Oshogbo Festival, the Arugba leads the procession of Ataoja to Oshun Grove. There, His Royal Majesty blesses the people and prays for peace and the community's prosperous stability during the succeeding year.
And the festival ends when she wakes up and meets us in the palace. That's when she will come and give us message.
The Osun Oshogbo Festival is a strong unifying factor in Oshogbo land. Irrespective of the different social, economic, religious and political convictions of the people, they all come together annually to celebrate the goddess. The event over the years has given residents and tourists alike the opportunity to recreate socially and culturally as they reenact one of the renowned age-long spiritual and communal feasts. Indeed, the Osun Oshogbo Festival has been and is one of the most outstanding and preserved cultural practices of the various festivals in Nigeria and Africa as a whole.
Hello and welcome to the news update on NTA International. I am Joyce Ikogu. Authorities at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport have put in place stringent safety measures following reported cases of third wave and the new variant of COVID-19 in some countries. With the new variant of the virus in India and Brazil, safety managers have introduced measures at the international wing of the airport to protect the country from it. Consequently, passengers coming in and out of the country have to undergo rigorous checks, which includes sanitizing of hands, physical distancing, temperature checks, and COVID-19 vaccine certification. Now, meanwhile, latest figures by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC confirms 53 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. The cases were recorded in 3 states. The cases which were recorded in 3 states shows that Lagos has 36, which is the highest number of cases, followed by Rivers, which has 14, and Akwa Ibom 3. The 53 new cases bring the total number of confirmed cases to 165,612. 156,387 have been discharged, with 2,066 deaths recorded. On the foreign scene, the government of the United Kingdom says second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine could be brought forward and local restrictions introduced to help tackle the Indian variant of the worst-affected areas. Minister Nadeem Zahawi said steps could also include vaccinating younger people in multi-generational households. Reports say cases in the UK have more than doubled to 1,313 cases. Meanwhile, a top scientist has warned that lifting restrictions on 21st June is in doubt because of the Indian variant. Still on the foreign scene, an earthquake of 6.6 magnitude on Friday struck off the northwest coast of Sumatra Island in Indonesia. Reports made available by the German Research Center for Geosciences says Indonesia's earthquake was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Indonesia's Weather and Geophysics Agency put the quake at 7.2 magnitude, but said it had no potential to trigger a tsunami wave. Now, Israel has intensified attack on Gaza as Palestinian militants continue to fire rockets into Israel on the 5th day of hostilities. Israel's military says air and ground forces were involved in attacks on Friday, but had not entered Gaza. Video clips from Gaza City showed the night sky lit up by explosions from Israeli artillery, gunboats, and airstrikes. Hamas has also fired 250 barrage of rockets towards Israel, hitting the city of Ashkelon in the early hours of Friday. since fighting began on Monday, 119 persons have been killed in Gaza and 8 have died in Israel. Those were some of the stories trending on the hour. Thanks for watching.
From the spiritual to the political, Nigerian leaders leverage on the season to sue for peace, mend fences, and advocate unity for development and sincerity of purpose. Stakeholders react to judgment on dissolution of elected officials at the local government level. And still on governors, the resolutions from the Southern Governors meeting and the new bridges to cross in the nation. Also on Political Update today, we shall be talking youth empowerment as key in the fight against crime and criminality. I'm Fisayo Ogunfui. Welcome. During this week's observance of Eid al-Fitr, the nation's leaders leveraged on the season to promote messages of peace, unity, and progress. The fight against outlaws, which is taking its toll on the psyche of the average Nigerian, was also described as a challenge that is being spared no effort to achieve victory.
In the last few weeks, we had about 7 hours meeting. I think the National Security Advisor had gone public to what he could go public with and explain. We understand the problem. We are going by the Constitution. We are doing our best. With the resources available and the manpower available to us, we are working very hard. And I think the National Assembly is cooperating very well.
So what do you expect from Nigerians? What do you want from them now?
I expect Nigerians to be more understanding and try to understand the issues involved within the time limit and the resources available to the country. Our biggest surprise and disappointment is what is happening in the Northwest, and we are going to deal with it so that people can go back to the land. This is very important so that we can get enough food for the country and even export.
The president is reaching out to all the stakeholders, and I believe that as leaders, particularly those of us that are elected at all levels of government, we should avoid partisanship, we should avoid regionalism. We are all leaders and we are in this together. The solutions must come from us regardless of what level of government we are, whether at the federal level or at the state level or even at the local government level.
Truth be told, we all have equal shares in the blame in whatever challenges we have. We must all come together to make sure that we resolve whatever issues. It is that spirit of oneness and that spirit of togetherness and unity and love that will take us, take us through this.
Still looking at the legislative arm, the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says calls for restructuring may be counterproductive and inimical to national unity, stability, and a sustainable future. Senator Lawan also made a case for Nigerians to support efforts at guaranteeing the desired autonomy for local governments in the country.
I believe that as leaders, those of us who are elected must not be at the forefront of calling for this kind of thing. Because even if you are a governor, you are supposed to be working hard in your state to ensure that this restructuring you are calling at the federal level, you have done it in your state as well. Because what you may accuse the federal government of whatever it is, you may also be accused of the same thing in your state. So we are supposed to ensure that we have a complete and total way of ensuring that our systems at the federal, at the states, and even local governments work for the people, that we allow people to participate in governance, that whoever feels that he has something to offer to make Nigeria better does so freely without any let or hindrance.
At least we can't be the same thing, we can never be the same thing, but we can be comfortable. And then everyone can be incorporated and live a good life. And that is what we're praying for this country, because the enormous opportunity in these countries are there. Nigeria has the capacity to become a world power economy. Once we can have a good system in place with no corruption, and then we can also have unity, no ethnic background or religious background or anything, put our head together to work for the progress of this country. The country can resist power, and we can become world power economy, and the whole world will respect Nigeria again.
Now, what has been a contentious issue for years now seems to have been laid to rest. The landmark judgment of the Supreme Court declaring illegal the dissolution of elected officials at the local government level by some state governors has generated reactions from different stakeholders. Some described the Apex Court's decision as a pivot for the strengthening of democratic governance in Nigeria.
I think beyond just declaring it illegal, the court should go ahead and reinstate those people to their offices to go and complete their tenure and compel the usurpers to refund whatever allowances and salaries they have taken. I think if that is done, this will discourage the state executives from brazenly going ahead to dissolve the local government.
I verily do believe that the Supreme Court was right in, the judgment declaring that dissolution of elected councils at the local government levels is illegal. That is because if you look at Section 12 of the Constitution, it talks about democratically run local governments in Nigeria.
They illegally entered here and they have been receiving salary. And Supreme Court has declared them illegal. Let them refund the salary they received.
Any caretaker committee is unconstitutional and contrary to the clear provisions of Section 7 of the Constitution. That is what the Supreme Court said.
Talking governors, the governors of southern states met in Asaba earlier in the week with some key resolutions. Chief among them, the deliberations and resolutions were efforts to tackle insecurity.
Shortly on arrival, the southern governors entered a closed-door meeting with the host governor and chairman of South-South Governors Forum, Ifeanyi Okowa, to brainstorm on the security situation in the country and as it affects the southern state's political zone. In a communique issued by the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, observed that the incursion of armed herders, criminals and bandits into the southern part of the country has presented a severe security challenge to the people. He stressed that Nigeria should remain committed to the unity of Nigeria on the basis of justice, fairness, equity, and oneness, as well as peaceful coexistence between and amongst its people. It was also agreed that the progress of the nation requires urgent and bold steps to be taken to restructure the Nigerian Federation, leading to the evolution of the state police, review of the revenue allocation, amongst others.
The forum affirmed that the peoples of southern Nigeria remain committed to the unity of Nigeria on the basis of justice, fairness, equity, and oneness, and peaceful coexistence between and among its people.
The meeting advocated the activation and establishment of pulse in other states of the Federation to create new jobs and promote socio-economic activity in the country. The meeting also expressed concern on the economic implications of another lockdown. State governments were encouraged to evolve strategies for dealing with the pandemic.
All right, moving on now, today on Political Update, we will explore the non-combat options in tackling insecurity, key amongst which is youth employment. There's a focus around the world on creatively providing avenues for sustenance for citizens, especially after the huge toll of COVID-19 on the economies of the world, with telling impact on individuals. Joining us is Jude Tabai. Today, thank you very much for joining us. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
We've been talking, in this series about, non-combat options in terms of trying to solve some of these challenges we've had across the country in terms of insecurity. You have had some experiences, especially in your region, mobilizing and doing regional integration. How do we first reach out, especially since, those who are maybe being used as cannon fodder of the younger generation?
Yeah. First and foremost, the biggest challenge we have is you can't talk about how do we reach out or solve problems without security. And when you talk about security, 90% of the crises associated with security are committed by the youths. But there's a big lacuna that I see in most of these crises. The difference between the political class and these boys. The synergy is always abandoned once they get into power, and they leave these boys vulnerable to living the kind of lifestyle which actually they are not supposed to be living. And that is where most of these problems are coming from. Because I realize that there are very few of these leaders who see these boys as their own. They see them as contractors. So having contracted them to get into power, they turn their back against them. So the dividends of democracy that they are supposed to be reaping hardly comes to them. You now realize that most of these boys are abandoned. Like if you look at what's happening in Nigeria today, there are a lot of programs after this COVID-19 thing that the government is doing. And I can tell you, sincerely speaking, the impact is supposed to be very huge because there's so much money that has been put on the streets for them to take care of youths and all our programs of the government. But how does it go? It has been turned to personnel.
At the state level?
Yes, both state and national. I must tell you, if you go deep, you realize that so much funds have been pumped into making sure they reach out to the youths in all various SMEs and other programs, But the same thing I'm saying, the way you gather these boys to work for you in politics, the same way you should gather them to come and benefit from whatever is coming out of your political office.
You mentioned before we came on the issue of the fact that it's as if, somehow we've allowed, criminality to thrive in the sense that, a few, maybe, a number of the boys after a while have now found it, so easy. Just going to criminality, it reaps its natural rewards.
Let me tell you what happened in Niger Delta. That's about 25 years ago. We had kidnappings in the creeks. And these boys who were kidnapping were known as sea pirates. And as far as I know, a sea pirate is supposed to go to the sea and hijack vessels and kidnap them. We don't know what they do. But all of a sudden, they started coming into the creeks and started kidnapping our parents, and everybody was like, wow. And nobody could talk. I remember, that's almost 30 years, no militancy then. Myself and PZ Agenia Lit, one of our strong advocates in the struggle, came up. They said, these are the things, we must help the government, we must help. It's not about everything government, government, government. And we summoned a meeting in Delta State, Okoloba community precisely, where just like what Sheikh Gume did, where all these boys came with their arms and ammunition. It's not government sponsored. And then questions were asked. My brother, what is the problem? The lives of late John Togo and some of the big militants then that were terrorizing the entire region. I said, oh, but what will be the problem now? How come people now, you have left your sea piracy, now you're coming to do creek piracy? And then we had to discuss. There must be that sense of, we are brothers, we are family. And then from there, you now know what their problems is. And then you begin to think of how to tinker. And then on that thing again is, once you do that, you know what they want. You may not be able to solve it, but at least you now know that there is a way. And two, that also gives you an identity and for you to know those who are actually in this business, because everybody came out, and that's how we started it. And from there, we try to see how we can calm them down, and then we also let them know that these things you are doing, let me give you one secret, these things you are doing are wrong. Do you know in the course of most of these boys going for their so-called sea piracy business, they lose lives, and at the end of the day, they go for burials. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but you know, when they do these burials, I have to go. I have to attend this burial. Why would I go and attend a burial of a...
Just to show that you empathize.
No. The idea, I'm trying to land somewhere. What was I doing? I was really trying to build myself into their den, to be able to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that way you now know that there's nothing this will do, because you have to build that confidence in them. Once you build the confidence in them, whatever happens, you can always have a solution. You can, if you like, bring the entire Nigerian army, you won't get a solution. But with one call, with the apple, boy, we did the apple for them. You'll be surprised that because of how you're able to, things you're not supposed to do, you do them just to make sure they have that confidence building, and they open up to you.
Okay, we come back to, you were talking of efforts in terms of mobilizing and then changing direction from, in your case, militancy into constructive, efforts in government. Let's quickly take our next report. This one captures the views of some Nigerian politicians calling for all political actors to rise above party lines in ensuring the peace and stability of the country. They say there must be a country first before politics.
We that are in the state are having it difficult to explain to our people. I've had several times people come to me and say, Governor, what are you doing? No matter how bad the state police is, let us experiment it. After all, we have the SEC. After all, the state governments are running the elections of the state.
Let the governors at the different levels at the states know that they also have a duty to arrest this situation at the local government level by releasing funds of the local government to local government councils. So let them make things beautiful in the state and engage the youth in the state, because all the youths of this country who are causing one problem or the other, they belong to one state or the other. And so it is not just the federal government matter to arrest.
So that Nigeria will continue to be one, and then there will be peace. Security, without security, there cannot be development. That is simple, that's as simple as ABC.
So in a quick short word, because of time, what are the areas we can begin to engage, quickly, so that, there's a toga of issue of idle hands. What do we begin to do, to get people, especially the youth involved in our development processes?
Yeah. First and foremost, I must be frank. The issue of skill acquisition is very key. It's not just acquiring the skill and empowering them. And once that is done, you're going to pull out a lot of people out of their evil ways. Then two, the political class has a lot of role to play. Because each time you're given the privilege of doing skill acquisition for people that are supposed to be benefiting from this, they should realize that those are the ones they should face. You realize the political class in most cases turn into family businesses and leaving the downtrodden, those that need it more, from benefiting from it. Once these little loopholes are taken care of, and then there's continuous synergy between the top and the lower cadre, I bet you peace is definitely going to be. There mustn't be any gap. Like from all you see all over the country, there's a gap between the youths and the leadership. And that gap is what is creating all this crisis, because you allow these things, and by the time it gets too late, it's always difficult to make a U-turn. Empowerment programs are going on. And instead of, let me give an example of what we used to do in those days. NDDC wants to empower people. So people want to go to school. Do you know I have to get passports? I have to get a cameraman to snap these boys, because you tell them to fill a form and snap, they won't even do it. I have to get a cameraman, take their pictures, fill the forms for them, and then do my part. And at the end of the day, out of 100 or 200, maybe like 10, 30, 40, 20 got those things. And I know how many benefited. These are the ways we should live with our youths. You know, once the things are done like that, but you will see a lot of changes will come up. It's very easy. I don't know. People make these things look as if it's invisible. I don't know. It's so painful when I hear people try to create an impression like problems are not solvable. My brother, let me tell you, these are security matters. We have been in this game. It's a game we play. Problems are solvable once there's sincerity on the side of the political class.
All right, let's take a bit from the continent. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni was sworn in for the 6th term in office this week in Kampala, the country's capital. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the occasion.
Here we are at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, venue for the swearing-in and inauguration ceremonies of Yoweri Museveni, who is being sworn in for the 6th time as a democratically elected president. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is flying the country's flag at this occasion, and he is here congratulating President Museveni on behalf of Nigeria. 11 other presidents are attending physically, while many others are being represented. The lowering of this flag signifies the end of a journey that began in 1986 and a continuation of another 5 years term with the taking of oath of office and allegiance. In a speech titled Securing Your Future, President Museveni wants African countries to form synergy for economic and political development.
We can say Africa is act together and act right.
Africa, he says, would be more stronger economically and possibly politically with all boundaries on trade and other issues removed.
That concludes Political Update for today. Many thanks to Jutabai for coming and giving us insight on engaging the youths and also crisis management things that we could do in solving some of these crises. Also, we wanted to have a second conversation with the Independent National Electoral Commission. We'll probably try and bring that on Tuesday, talking about the expansion of polling units across states, as well as some other issues surrounding the off-cycle elections as well. My name is Fisayo Ogunfuyi, thanking you for being a part of today's program. Of course, also thanking my guest, Jutabai, for being a part of it, and urging you to play your politics for the greater good and stick with the Nigerian Television Authority, where we continue to give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.
Media as a channel of communication is inherently harmful.